Hey bass anglers, are you tired of using the same old Ned rig and want to mix things up a little bit? In this video we're going to talk about a new plastic bait that's really been kept in the walleye world but has great application to catching bass as well. From the plastic makeup to the tackle needed to fish it properly, we'll go over a few key things in this video to get you started using this relatively unknown plastic bait to help you catch more bass. Okay, so the Ned Rig is a super popular bait. It's a super popular technique, and it's best used in the crayfish environment. So when the bass are feeding on crayfish or when the crayfish are active, the Ned Rig is an excellent go-to bait. And it seems to be that its simple shape mimics that of the preference of the bass when they're eating crayfish, in that they don't want one that's got pinchers. They'll eat any crayfish, make no mistake about it. But a lot of times when they're feeding on crayfish, they want that simple, subtle, no appendage approach that the Ned Rig seems to give. But there are times when the Ned Rig kind of gets played out. They've seen a lot of it, or they've moved on. If they're not on crayfish anymore and they're on a minnow bite, or they're transitioning from a minnow to a crayfish to a worm, anytime in that transition, there are some other great options that can be fished very similarly and can be similarly effective. So Northland Tackle's Eye Candy Plastic is a new line that Northland Tackle's put together for their walleye fishing, and they've had a ton of success, a lot of popularity for walleye fishermen using a range of techniques with these new soft plastic baits. But as I look at them, they are very, very applicable to bass fishing and could replace the Ned Rig or transition from the Ned Rig in a lot of cases when they're looking for a minnow profile. What's great about this plastic, it's made of a super durable TPE stretchy material that they call it, so it's pretty indestructible, a lot like you'd see with Z-Man Elastec. But this TPE technology allows for a lot of stretch and movement, very supple, very soft. And the unique thing about it is it's incredibly buoyant, which is great for that stand-up presentation. It's got a very small tail in the minnow variety, and I've got a 4-inch minnow here, and I've got it in a black color, and they've got a bunch of colors. But it's a little split tail. It's a tiny little split tail on the end of it. And that thing really moves when this thing is nose down on the bottom. It looks like a minnow feeding down on the bottom without a ton of action. Buoyancy and the soft suppleness of the lure allow for very subtle movements, and I'll show a little video here in a bucket of this thing dancing around with just a little quiver presented to it. So for dead sticking a bait or leaving a bait sit still, it's going to have a ton more action from the current or the wind or the wave action than, you know, a Ned Rig is for sure. So it's going to move a little better. It's got a kicking tail on it, you know, like I said, it's got some ribs on it. The other unique thing about this bait is its ability to hold scent. It'll hold any non-solvent based scent, and a lot of times you don't get that. You don't get to dress up other soft plastic baits that are made of these durable kinds of plastics. Like the Z-Man variety, they won't hold a scent as well as some others. So this one will hold a scent, so that's very unique, very durable. There's a range of ways that you can use this lure. With its buoyancy, it allows you very easily to use it with a drop shot hook, nose hooked through the drop shot hook. But it's most versatile, I think, when it's got weight down, nose down on the bottom. It looks, like I said, a lot like a minnow feeding off of the bottom repeatedly. So you can use it on a regular Ned jig exposed. You can use it on a weedless Ned head jig, and that's when I'm around weeds or wood, I would use the weedless variety. And then if I'm around current, I'm going to use a football jig with it, and I'd be able to pick that up, let that flow with the current, set it back down, and that tail's going to dance really, really nicely on the end of that bait. I really think this minnow style lure, the 4-inch minnow, is going to find its home in bass fishing in that in-between range from the Ned to the shaky head. You know, a lot of shaky head worms are 6 inches. You don't see many shaky head worms made of this floating plastic, smaller than that 6-inch variety. And I think this is going to fit nicely right there at the end of that Ned Rig and the beginning of the shaky head, because this is a very shaky head like rig with a Ned presentation. So it's going to be super subtle, super versatile in difficult situations, post-frontal situations, when you need to be very, very subtle. There are some other unique good baits that Northland has made for the walleyes that still will find a home for bass fishing as well. They also have a rig and leech that comes in a bunch of colors that would be very effective for smallmouth bass. And then they also have a night crawler that would be very good on a free rig. With this buoyancy of this bait, this would be an excellent bait to free rig and have that bait just absolutely stand straight up and then pull down to your free rig weight. I've got a special video you can check out on the free rig, and this would be a prime candidate to use in that video, so check that one out too. I'll put that in the description. I'll put the jig head styles for rigging it in the description as well. But it's been proven for walleyes, but don't sleep on it for bass. Northland Tackle's eye candy is going to be kind of a secret thing, I think, for a while before it gets out there with the bass fishermen. And you're going to have success. Largemouth with free rig and around brush piles, and definitely smallmouth with the minnow and with the leech setup are fantastic baits. Cook them up in your own scent. They're going to hold scent, super durable. Kind of can't go wrong, so check them out. Hope these tips were helpful. Please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time on the water.